saying that what unites us far exceeds anything that divides us, and pointing out that Barack Hussein Obama will leave office exactly 6 months from today. Indiana Governor Mike Pence accepts his party's nomination as vice president, and stepping to the stage to greet him, the nominee of the Republican Party for the presidency of the United States, Donald J. Trump. And it is an unconventional convention. Donald Trump, who will offer his acceptance speech tomorrow night, came out on stage, and instead of the traditional upraised arms, there was almost a feigned kiss from the Republican nominee to his running mate. Now on the stage, the Pence family. Mike's mom, Nancy, his wife, Karen, their 3 children, including young Michael Pence, a major in the United States Marine Corps. It's coming up on 11:15 Eastern Time, and we continue with Newsmax coverage of the Republican National Convention. We invite you to call us at 1-877-NEWSMAX. That's 1-877-639-7629. And at this point, I would call on those who have been watching along with us. From Newsmax, Washington, my good friend and former colleague in the House of Representatives, former United States Congressman Michael Patrick Flanagan of Illinois, and from our Newsmax newsroom, John Bachman with us tonight. Mike, to hear another Mike tonight, it was interesting, a very heartfelt speech, an attempt at humor, saying that the senior partner, the presidential nominee, has the charisma and they must have been looking for balance. But I'm interested in your overall impression of the Pence acceptance speech tonight.
It was tremendous. It was a terrific speech. I'll tell you, his Midwestern warmth, I'm from Illinois, the neighboring state, and there's a little rivalry, not quite an Ohio-Michigan thing, but there's a little rivalry, Illinois-Indiana. And listening to him just made me feel warm. It's so genuine. Hillary attempts this sort of forced warmness, and she's lousy at it because she doesn't believe it. He actually believes these things he said tonight, and it's wonderful to have somebody going to be our vice president, a heartbeat away from the presidency, who is this solid of a citizen, this solid of a guy, this smart, this capable. I am delighted with this choice. He's terrific, and he's going to do great for us all.
John Bachman, from this position, about 10 days ago, I said I was concerned about Mike Pence in terms of shades of gray. And yet tonight, his energy level, coupled with that warmth and that genuineness of spirit, I'll tell you what, it took away my doubts. What say you?
Pitch perfect, JD. I mean, this is everything that you could hope for from the VP speech, and I'm glad you mentioned that feigned kiss by Donald Trump, because I wasn't quite sure if I saw that myself, but certainly, you know, it was almost as if Donald Trump couldn't help himself. He wanted to go out there on the stage and let Mike Pence know how great of a job that he actually did tonight. And perhaps that feigned kiss was the only way he could really express the way he truly felt. You could tell this is exactly not just what the Trump campaign needed for this convention, but what they needed tonight specifically to kind of wipe off Ted Cruz's speech. I don't think people are going to be talking about Ted Cruz's speech tomorrow. They'll probably be talking about Mike Pence's speech. He was self-effacing at times. He highlighted the fact that a lot of people in the crowd might not be familiar with him, but I think he solved that problem tonight, and no one is going to leave that arena wondering if Donald Trump made the right choice.
It was a chance for Governor Pence to introduce himself to the American people, to those unlike us three who make politics our avocation as well as our vocation in terms of coverage and commentary. And perhaps it is worth returning to the early moments of the address when Governor Pence formally accepted the vice presidential nomination. Let's look and listen.
Mr. Chairman, delegates, friends, and my fellow Americans, thank you from the bottom of my heart. I am deeply humbled by your confidence, and on behalf of my family, here and gone, I accept your nomination to run and serve as Vice President of the United States of America.
And that's the way it looked just mere moments ago. A reminder that we invite your calls, your response to the speech of Mike Pence, and the number to call, 1-877-NEWSMAX, 1-877-639-7629. Mike Flanagan, although Mike Pierce is mild-mannered, he is unflappable, and he does not hesitate, albeit in perhaps a gentler fashion, drawing a distinction with the Democrat ticket. Perhaps his most pointed line tonight, in view of the fact that his son is serving in the United States Marine Corps, was when Governor Pence said, when Mrs. Clinton said in front of that Senate committee about the 4 fallen Americans in Benghazi, what difference at this point does it make? That statement alone disqualifies her from ever serving as Commander-in-Chief.
I lost the feed.
I'm sorry. Michael can't hear me, so let me go to John Bachman.
I can hear you now.
Okay, we just lost it there. I was just explaining, Mike. I thought the most powerful moment, and he offered criticism.
I heard your comment, JD.
Okay, great. Your turn to go ahead. And
I apologize.
That's all right. Would you like to, what was the most powerful moment for you, Mike?
I thought your observation is terrific. Hillary did disqualify herself with that insane remark, and it was in a fit of pique. She was having an imperial moment where she's far too important to be asked these questions, and they went after her and wanted her to answer it, and she said, what difference does it make? I shouldn't have to answer these questions anyway. And Pence, in his raw humility, in his warmth, is just alien to the way he thinks, alien to the way he would approach it. The deaths of those people would have been on his mind in those questionings. The responsibility that he would have to bear as the man in charge would have been on his mind during that questioning, and he's aghast at how someone like her could sit there and not be cognizant of this. That's what he's talking about. That's the quality of man you have here. And I'll tell you, he is head and shoulders high quality above her, and I cannot imagine anyone choosing her over him or the Trump-Pence ticket, without question.
Well, let's go to the phones now at 1-877-NEWSMAX, down to Harrelson, Arkansas, where Annette is standing by. Annette, welcome to our convention coverage here on Newsmax TV.
Thank you, JD. I'm telling you, these speeches get greater the farther we go. I don't think I could stand it to be there. I'd be shouting. I want to challenge all the people that are there at the convention and all the people in the United States. We say, in God we trust, one nation under God. And I think we all need to go ask the Lord to bless America again with the election of our candidate, Donald Trump, and also that he deliver us from Hillary. And I'd just like to challenge everybody who calls themselves Christian anywhere to do that. We are told we have not because we ask not. And I would challenge us all to go to the Lord and ask him for help for Trump and Pence.
And Annette, I thank you for the call and for your petition for prayer. John Bachman, it's worth noting, as you might imagine, I got to serve with Mike Pence, and you have the politics, but you also have the personal glimpses. And I can tell you, you heard Mike Pence offer scriptural references tonight, also talking about the power of prayer, as Annette offered. And again, in his self-analysis, he said, I'm a Christian, a conservative, and a Republican in that order.
Right.
Now, John, we have had discussions before, and off camera, you have said to a younger generation, it is more the fiscal dilemma that future Americans are going to face. But did Pence tonight bridge the fiscal and the spiritual in a way that will be acceptable to younger voters.
One thing that I think that he did do very successfully, JD, tonight that Donald Trump hasn't necessarily been able to do. Yes, Trump talks about making America great again, but Trump talked about in a Reagan-esque kind of way, a more optimistic view of America today. Yes, we have our problems, and part of the biggest problem is the leadership we have in this country. And he obviously referenced Reagan as well, but he struck that more optimistic tone. I think that a lot of younger Republicans hope to hear from their candidate. There's been a lot of gloom and doom this election cycle, understandably so. But I think when you talk about younger voters, yes, they are concerned about the debt and the deficit in this country, but in more broader terms, they want to hear about the future. They want to hear about what's good and what can we make better. And what can we make great again? Of course, Donald Trump has done that to a certain extent, but it has been a negative campaign. But I think what you have kind of formulating here is a good cop, bad cop scenario, which is very concerning, I think, for Democrats. And I would be shocked if the Clinton campaign, watching Mike Pence's speech tonight, didn't take a step back and maybe rethink where they're at with their VP search, because you think about Mike Pence on that debate stage as a vice presidential nominee, very formidable if he strikes that tone of being firm, pushing back against the Clinton and Obama agenda, but also striking that optimistic tone, looking towards the future.
Well, John, you have raised a topic, and we'll continue to talk about the Pence speech at 1-877 Newsmax, but the specter of the Democratic ticket. And just who Secretary Clinton might pick, Michael Patrick Flanagan. The two names most prominently mentioned are Virginia Senator Tim Kaine, who makes a big deal about speaking Spanish and having lived in Honduras, perhaps appealing to new voters who may not be citizens, quite frankly, and also Agriculture Secretary Tom Vilsack of Iowa, who, of course, is a Midwesterner and on stage exudes, quote, Midwestern warmth, but I am told behind closed doors is a pretty tough customer. Do you think she will stay with one of those two, or what do you expect Hillary to do, Mike?
I expect Hillary to go Castro, to bring up an Hispanic, and to go to play to her base. She knows that if the Hispanics come to Trump, she loses. She's no prayer at getting white men. Why bother with Vilsack or Kaine? They'll be out as surrogates for her, much as Newt is for Trump. She will try and carve away any support that Trump might be able to get in the Hispanic community by sending a Hispanic superstar out to beat that back. And that's the calculus that they're making. They don't care about governing after they're elected. They'll pick someone to get themselves elected. And that's always the Democratic plan. And that's why we wind up with such mediocre leaders from their side, but politicians par excellence.
Let's go back to the phones, a couple of minutes remaining in this segment. We go out to Las Vegas, Nevada, to hear from Mike. Mike, did the gamble of picking Mike Pence pay off for Donald Trump tonight?
I would say it paid off in aces and spades. He did an excellent job in choosing that man. He's a very strong, religious, matter of fact, I'm going to tell you the truth kind of guy. He's the kind of guy America was built on.
And Mike, we appreciate your analysis and your call tonight from Las Vegas, Nevada. John Bachman, this is a telegenic era in the information age with video, and indeed many may be joining us on their video screens from their desktop computers or on their personal devices. And yet I take a look at Mike Pence now at age 57 with hair of silver, and it connotes to me a wise next-door neighbor, a guy you could chat with over the fence, just a regular guy. 30 seconds for your impression of the Pence persona, John.
I think it's, again, pitch perfect and exactly what you need to complement Donald Trump out there on the campaign trail. And like I said, they could be very effective as, the good cop. And you saw it in the 60 Minutes interview, too. Pence kind of stepping in there, supporting Donald Trump, trying to, make it sound a little bit more to the political ear what Donald Trump is actually trying to communicate. And I think, the gray hair doesn't really reflect, I think, what the way voters are going to look at Mike Pence. I think they're going to see somebody, a good decision made by Donald Trump, and that only helps the Trump campaign in terms of their ability to make good decisions.
Let me hasten to add, I did not mean that as criticism. The silver hair to me connotes
we should
wisdom.
all be so lucky to be
and especially
silver
for a
foxes.
younger man with that dusting you have there, Brother Bachman. Listen, come back, and you come back too, Mike Flanagan, and all of you will take more of your calls as our coverage of the Republican convention continues here on Newsmax TV.